Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Janvallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, The Activities of King Bharata, Texts 8 and 9. So I'll just read the translation and purport for these two verses. Text number 8. Destiny fixed the time for Maharaj Bharata's enjoyment of material opulence at 1,000 times 10,000 years. When that period was finished, he retired from family life and divided the wealth he had received from his forefathers among his sons. He left his paternal home, the reservoir of all opulence, and started for Pulaha Ashrama, which is situated in Haridwar. The Shalagram Shilas are obtainable there. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. According to the law of Daya Bhak, when one inherits an estate, he must hand it over to the next generation. Bharat Maharaja did this properly. First, he enjoyed his paternal property for 1,000 times 10,000 years. At the time of his retirement, he divided this property among his sons and left for Pulaha Ashrama. Text 9. At Pulaha Ashrama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, out of his transcendental affection for his devotee, becomes visible to his devotee, satisfying his devotee's desires. Purport. The Lord always exists in different transcendental forms. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5:39, Ramadimurtishu kala niyamena tishtan nanavataram akarod bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samabhavat paramah pumanyo Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Lord is situated as Himself, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He is accompanied by His expansions like Lord Rama, Baladeva, Sankarshana, Narayana, Mahavishnu, and so forth. The devotees worship all these forms according to their liking, and the Lord, out of His affection, presents Himself as Archa Vigraha. He sometimes presents himself personally before the devotee out of reciprocation or affection. A devotee is always fully surrendered to the loving service of the Lord, and the Lord is visible to the devotee according to the devotee's desires. He may be present in the form of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Lord Narasimhadeva, and so on. Such is the exchange of love between the Lord and His devotees. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. When we hear about or meditate on the activities of the personality of Godhead and or His devotees, then within our heart the desire for serving Krishna awakens. This is the process of bhakti. Sometimes we try to analyze in a mechanistic way how bhakti awakens, and one might be very frustrated. Because the awakening of bhakti is not a material or a mechanistic process where there is direct correlation between cause and effect. There is a transcendental cause and effect. The transcendental cause is the association of the personality of Godhead or His pure devotee. More importantly, pure devotee. And just by their association, the dormant love for God awakens. It becomes stimulated. And the more one engages in the process of hearing submissively, this hearing submissively and serving is called Shushrushaya. By such submissive hearing and serving, Krishna awakens that bhakti in the heart. So if you'd like reference and read more the whole process of bhakti, it's in the first canto, second chapter, text 15 verses onwards. Shushushaya Shraddhadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi. Syan mahat sevaya vipra punya tirtha nishevanat. Shunvatam svakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana. Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti sruhat satam. And then it goes on. So it's important to hear. One might say, so what is such a big thing that Bharat Maharaj went to the Pulaha ashrama? Oh, it's a very significant step in his life. It is meant to inspire in us similar sense of detachment. So Bharat Maharaj, he ruled the entire planet for 1 million years. Right? Isn't that what it is? 1,000 times 10,000 is a million. 10 million? 10 million, even longer. 10 million years. 10 million years of ruling a place. And when the right time came, he just walked away from it. We do some service for a few days, and then it becomes my service. We become attached. There's a schedule, right, for Guru Puja or something. And every day of the week there is a name associated with it. And then we look for it. It's my service. And if someone takes it away or something happens, my service. Or we very quickly, the sense of becoming the proprietor is so intense within the conditioned soul. Then what to speak of ruling for 10 million years and then just walking away from it? Fantastic. Such detachment. So the principle of dayabhak is discussed. The word dayabhak means inheritance. Muktipade sapade sa dayabhak. That liberation, or actually the word mukti there means being reinstated back into one's constitutional position, becomes one's natural inheritance. And for that, the whole process is hearing. Sthane stita shrutigatan. So one of the features of inheritance, Prabhupada is telling us, is that what one receives must be given. It should not be kept. It should not be hoarded. And it just so happens that I get to speak on the day of MSF. And last time we had MSF, it was the verse about perfecting one's life and dedicating one's life to facilitating the perfection of others. And today we're talking of dayabhak, same principle. Dayabhak, what are we inheriting from the parampara? We're not inheriting buildings, which by the way is also the case. We're inheriting temples and all of the assets of Krishna consciousness. But most important inheritance is the Krishna consciousness, the bhakti, the seed of bhakti, if you will. That's what we are inheriting from our spiritual predecessors. The Guru line, the Siksha and Diksha Gurus, we are inheriting from them the seed of bhakti. And to not give it or not pass it on, then we are not fulfilling the responsibility of inheritance. In fact, if we just consider for a moment, if our predecessors did not work very hard to pass it on to us, would we all be in the same room together? I doubt it. Right? And the one who gives their inheritance to others, they enjoy more than the one who's receiving it. This is a spiritual principle. That the one who gives mercy that they have received freely to others enjoys more than the one who's receiving it. Of course, the one who's receiving it is also enjoying. In a transcendental sense, they enjoy more. So it becomes our duty to give freely without holding back. The material conception is, if I hold back and I hoard, then I have more And that makes me feel good, I'm better. But the spiritual perspective is, the more we give, the more we have. And the more we give, the more we have. I'm going to connect this point and Bharat Maharaj's point to something else. So remember this, the more we give, the more we have. And it's described that Bharat Maharaj, he enjoyed this property for 10 million years. Now, just yesterday's verse, we heard about bhava, fully awakened in him. Ecstatic devotional service. So when he's ecstatic in devotional service, how can he enjoy the kingdom? So we understand that his enjoyment is not wanton sense gratification, wallowing in the pleasures of kingly riches. That's not his enjoyment. Bharat Maharaj's enjoyment for 10 million years is the joy of serving Krishna in that capacity. Whenever we serve Krishna with our full heart, we also experience great joy. And that's not a wrong thing. That is our real way of, sense gratification, if you will. A soul's sense gratification has no limit when it is all meant for Krishna's pleasure. As much Krishna gets served and we become happy, then that happiness is our rightful inheritance. We should be happy. In fact, only devotees are happy. Everyone else is miserable. And therefore they look for happiness in things outside of themselves, outside of the relationship with Krishna, trying to become happy. This is the difference between a devotee and one who's not a devotee. A devotee is happy, and the one who's not a devotee is trying to be happy. So one shouldn't feel bad that I am feeling happy in serving Krishna. That's fantastic. That is how we feel. We should feel happy. If we find happiness outside of serving Krishna, that should be a warning sign. Woo, something's wrong. Flashing red light. Something's wrong. So that's how he enjoyed. He enjoyed for 10 million years unabashedly serving Krishna as the king of the world. And when the right time came, he offered the entire wealth, the joy, and not only the material assets, if you will, but for someone who's using everything in Krishna's service, nothing remains material. So he gave all those assets, distributed them among his sons, and he walked away. This is true renunciation. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. As long as he was serving Krishna, he took care of everything perfectly well. And the day came that he had to move on, he walked away. And he went to Haridwar, the ashram of Pulaha, where the sacred Gandaki river flows. Now Gandaki river also flows near Nepal. And this is the river where you find Shalagram Shilas. You know what is a Shalagram? Shalagram are these black stones that appear within that river, which is the form of Vishnu in stone. And they have different shapes and forms and openings or crevices that one who's an expert can identify what form of the Lord it is in that stone. Black, shiny, round stones. And all of Vaishnavas, they worship Shalagram. Shalagram is the most, convenient form of worshipping Vishnu. Because when we have big deities and Brahmanas would travel, they would not be able to travel with big deities. So they would often have Shalagram. And they would worship Shaligram, travel with Shaligram, like that. In fact, in temples, the proper thing to have, proper form of deity to have is the Shaligram, to have Brahmanas worship Shaligrams. And so you can, there are Narasimha Shaligram Shila, and like that, different shapes and forms. They have little chakra inside, teeth inside, just beautiful. So when we think of Shaligram and Gandaki river, naturally we have to think about Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who's one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, our acharyas. When he was a young boy, maybe 6 or 10 years old, somewhere in between, Lord Chaitanya came and visited Sri Rangam and stayed for 4 months in the house of Vyankata Bhatta. And Gopal, Vyankata Bhatta's son, served Lord Chaitanya for 4 months. And in those 4 months, he developed such an intense attachment to Lord Chaitanya that when Lord Chaitanya left, he was ready to go as a young boy. So Lord Chaitanya asked him, no, stay with your parents. It's too early. When the right time comes, after you've taken care of your parents sufficiently and you're committed to your duties, then you can come. So years passed and Gopal was hankering to be with Lord Chaitanya. And finally he received the instruction to go to Vrindavan and be with Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and stay with them. One day he had this thought, it would be nice to have Shaligram, to worship Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So he was a Goswami, so wearing loincloth, really no possessions, nothing. So he walked from Vrindavan to the Gandaki river. It's a long walk across mountains and forests and all of that. When he reached the Gandaki river, he picked up these beautiful Shaligram stones to bring back to Vrindavan and worship them. And then he walked back to Vrindavan. And when he walked back, he had this little feeling in his heart, a little pinprick, that, that was so arrogant of me. How can I assume that I'm qualified to worship Shaligram? I'm actually not. This is not right. How can I just bring Shaligram from Gandaki river? I'm not qualified. I should put them back. So he walked back to Gandaki river. All the way back. And he placed one by one all the Shaligrams back from his little pouch. He had a pouch, cloth bag round his neck, and he put them all back into the river. As he was placing each Shaligram into the river, the Shaligram would jump back into his cloth bag. Then he would place him back, boom, it would jump back. He took that as an indication, they want to be with me. Krishna wants to be worshipped this way. So he brought them back. And Shaligram is a round stone. All you can do is draw eyes and nose and tilak and flowers around it. And the other Goswamis also had deities of Krishna. So one day, Gopal Bhatta Goswami had this desire. I have so many Shaligrams, and I wish I could offer them nice silk cloth, ornaments, flower garlands, and decorate as if, how we serve the deity. But I have Shila, I can't do that. He went to rest that night feeling like that. And the next morning, one of the Shaligram Shilas had transformed into beautiful Krishna deity. The back of the deity is still half round like this, and the front was a Tribhanga, the threefold bending form of Krishna. And he was so good looking and attractive. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami immediately called Rupa Goswami. He was the head of Vaishnavas. Look at this, how marvelous Krishna has manifested like this. As soon as Rupa Goswami saw it, he said, he's so attractive, he's so charming. He is Radharamana, the charmer of Radharani. So he named the deity Radharaman. And so even today, if you go to Vrindavan, one place we will not miss in Vrindavan is Loi Bazaar. And right behind Loi Bazaar is Radharaman temple. The beautiful form of the Lord, half Shaligram and the other half Tribhanga form of the Lord. So this place, Pulaha Ashrama, is where Bharat Maharaj went to perform Vanaprastha life, to conduct the rest of his life in focused hearing and chanting. So this is the way Kshatriyas would lead their lives. They were called Rajarishis, saintly kings. And in Pulaha Ashram was such a place where Lord Hari would personally show up, manifest to his devotee, just to interact with his devotees. So there are many forms of the Lord. One form is the Archa Vigraha, the form within matter. This is for the conditioned souls like us who cannot have direct vision of God. Not yet. So the Lord appears within matter just to allow us to interact with Him. But for the completely elevated personalities, He appears in His spiritual form and He interacts with them. And Prabhupada says the Lord appears in many, many, many forms. All forms of the Lord are very attractive and reciprocative. Be it Lord Ramachandra, Varaha, Narasimha, Lord Balaram, however He appears, Vishnu, He comes to interact and reciprocate with His devotees. This week, either today or tomorrow, is Akshaya Tritiya. Tomorrow. Akshaya Tritiya is an important day. In South India, there is a temple of Simhachalam. In Simhachalam, that's the place where it is described that Prahlad was pushed off a mountain. He was pushed down by Hiranyakashipu. And there is a deity of Lord Narasimhadev in a very peculiar form. Once Prahlad Maharaj asked Lord Narasimhadev, "Can I see your form as Narasimha and Varaha combined?" So that deity is called Varaha Narasimha. Very special deity. But the thing is, if you go any time during the year, you can't see the deity. Because he is in the angry form. To calm the Lord down, every day they put huge quantities of sandalwood paste on the deity. Every day, throughout the year. So by the time 1 year passes, it's a big mound of sandalwood. Inside is the deity, you can't see him. Only on the Akshaya Tritiya day, they remove the entire sandalwood pulp that has hardened, encrusted, and you can see the deity in his full glory. Like only on that day. And the day after, they start applying the sandalwood paste all over again for the whole year. Akshaya Tritiya is also the day, is described, is the appearance day of Lord Parashuram, one of the incarnations of the personality of Godhead. Lord Parashuram came to remove impious rulers from the face of earth planet. Because when rulers or administrators, they exploit their subjects, that's worse than anything else. So Parashuram removes that. The story is when Lord Parashuram killed the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna. It's 8 o'clock, so I have to. There are other stories too, so I'm going to just give you an idea. If you want, you can study 9th Canto, chapter 15. It describes the appearance and activities of Lord Parashuram. Akshaya Tritiya day is also the day when Yudhishthir Maharaj received the Akshaya Patra from Indra or Agni. You know the Akshaya Patra? Akshaya Patra is this magical pot that doesn't matter. It will never, Akshaya, the word Akshaya means that which never goes away. Kshaya means to deteriorate. Akshaya means one that doesn't deteriorate. So it's a pot from which unlimited quantities of food can be prepared. And it will never fall short. There was only a condition that it will stop producing food after Draupadi has eaten. Until then, it will produce unlimited quantities of food. That was on Akshaya Tritiya day, Yudhishthir Maharaj received that pot. Akshaya Tritiya is also the day when Vyasadeva started dictating the Mahabharata to Ganesha. And Ganesha started writing the Mahabharata on this day. So it's an important day. For Vaishnavas, every day is an important day. Every day is, whether it's Tritiya or Chaturthi, it doesn't matter. But historically, there are certain days that have significance. So, one of the things about Akshaya is that the more you give, the more this is how Krishna's mercy is. It's Akshaya. Anything material, when we give, we have less of it. Like money. If we give money, then we have less of it. Or clothes or anything material. The principle is when you give, you have less of it. But because the spiritual energy works differently, it's the Akshaya energy, it's the more you give, the more you have, the more you get. So the principle for the devotees is to experience that Akshaya energy of the Lord, to give the opportunity of Krishna consciousness to others, that we get more opportunities, we get more mercy from Krishna. To not give is very painful. Or to hoard and keep back, to hold back is painful. So when Draupadi had this pot, Duryodhana could not estimate the value of that pot. He didn't understand what it really means. He thought, they're living in the forest and I should create some problems for them, for the Pandavas. So he asked Durvasa Muni and his 10,000 disciples to go to Draupadi and Yudhishthir Maharaj for lunch, uninvited. So one afternoon, out of the blue, when all the Pandavas had eaten their lunch, and of course when Bhima was around, you needed a lot more prasadam. And Draupadi, thankfully, that pot created as much food as Bhima would be satisfied. Queen Kunti used to collect, and all the sons would beg and collect food, and she would make a huge pile. She would break the pile or, divide the pile in half, and she would give Bhima that half. And the rest of the half, herself, Draupadi, Arjuna, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Nakula, Sahadeva would eat. That was his appetite. So from Akshaya Patra, Draupadi could fully satisfy Bhima. And she had also eaten from it one day. So the pot wouldn't produce anymore. It's at that time when Durvasa Muni knocked at Yudhishthir Maharaj's door, right in the middle of the forest, out of nowhere, saying, "Oh, Yudhishthir Maharaj, we have come to your house for our afternoon lunch." And Yudhishthir Maharaj, the greatness of his quality was he was completely nonchalant. He didn't worry how am I going to get the groceries? He said, "Oh, very nice. Please welcome. So Draupadi from the kitchen became a little anxious. What do you mean? How am I going to cook for all these people? 10,000. And this is Durvasa Muni. She had heard the story of Ambarish Maharaj. What happened when Ambarish Maharaj drank a little water? She said, oh no, he's a great sage. He gives benedictions without any reservation. But if he's upset, then he also gives curses without any reservation. How am I going to cook for them? Yudhishthira Maharaj says, we don't know. Krishna will protect us. How can we turn down guests? In fact, it's a crime to say no to a guest, especially uninvited. Atithi. Atithi means shown up on a day without invitation, without appointment. So Draupadi started praying to my dear Krishna, you're sitting in Dwaraka enjoying lunch. How can I cook for all these people? And then she heard a knock on her door again. And she opened the door. It was Krishna standing there. And he said, Draupadi, I'm very hungry. She said, oh no, not only do I have to cook for these 10,000 people, now you're also hungry. It's a greater offense to not feed you. I thought you're going to help me. You're making it worse for me. How can I offer you something? I have nothing. He said, I heard you have this magic pot. Bring it here. Oh no, the pot will not create anything more because I've already eaten. Krishna said, no, bring that pot here. And somehow in that pot there was one grain of rice or a little piece of, as they say, spinach or something was left behind. Maybe Henry was washing the pots, we don't know. And so Krishna took that one grain and he ate that. As soon as Krishna accepted that one grain, he was completely satisfied. He told Draupadi, I'm satiated. I'm not hungry anymore. And because Krishna is the Paramatma in the heart of all living entities, all of Durvasa Muni and his disciples, they all felt fully satiated. They were all burping in the river. We're all finished. Of course, I'm embellishing. They were all completely satisfied and happy. And they came out of the river and they told Yudhishthira Maharaj, no lunch. We're happy, satisfied. Our hunger has been taken care of. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, no, please come. Lunch is ready. There wasn't anything ready there. No, please come. He said, no, we're satisfied. No lunch. And they returned. And so Krishna protected. And Yudhishthira Maharaj remembers this. Kunti Devi remembers this in her prayers. That you, Krishna, you came in at the right time to protect your devotees. Because this is how Krishna's mercy is. It's also Akshaya. It never reduces. Everything about Krishna is Akshaya. His compassion. For us, what is important is his forgiveness. We bank on that Krishna's forgiveness never reduces. For all the mistakes we make, we are grateful that Krishna's compassion and forgiveness is Akshaya. How many ever mistakes we make, Krishna will never kick us away. The only time we'll find ourselves away from Krishna is because we have walked away. But Krishna and the Parampara will never kick us away. This is the Akshaya feature of that great line. Though we can make the most horrendous mistakes, the worst of crimes, if we come back to Krishna, fall at his feet, he accepts us again. Or we may get a little chastisement and all, that's a different thing. But the shelter never goes away. So for us, as conditioned souls, this is great solace, great encouragement. That Krishna always keeps us at his lotus feet. Or give us the opportunity to stay at his lotus feet. And with another story of Parashara Bhatta, the son of Kuresha and Andal. This is in the Sri Vaishnava tradition. Parashara Bhatta became the most prominent acharya after Srila Ramanujacharya. One day when Parashara Bhatta was sitting, and was deep in meditation, a hunter showed up. And in his hands was a rabbit that was trembling. So Parashara Bhatta asked him, yes, what can I do for you? He said, I need some guidance from you. Okay, what can I do for you? He said, I'm a hunter by profession. Whenever I look at animals like these, the rabbits and the deer in the forest, I shoot them. I kill them. And today, I had taken my bow and arrow and was about to shoot an arrow on this rabbit. But somehow this rabbit ran up to my feet and surrendered at my feet. It prostrated at my feet. And although I had drawn my arrow, I couldn't kill it. So I have a dilemma. My dharma is being compromised. I'm supposed to kill, and as a hunter, this is what I do. But the moment this gentle little rabbit came to my lotus feet, I couldn't kill it anymore. What to do? As soon as Parashara Bhatta heard this, he fainted. He fainted in ecstasy. So the disciples and devotees, they had to come, sprinkle some water, revive him back to external consciousness. And they asked him, can you explain what was the ecstasy? He said, just look at this hunter. He's such a hard-hearted person. Every day he mercilessly kills all these animals. And when a little rabbit comes to his lotus feet, even such a hard-hearted fellow, his heart becomes softened. Then what to speak of our worshipable Lord, Krishna, whose heart by nature is so soft that even if anyone comes to his feet, how he must feel. When I can just think of Krishna's compassion, I cannot control myself. If a hard-hearted hunter can be compassionate, what to speak of Krishna, whose it is said that Krishna's heart is generally compared to fresh butter, navanita, because it is very, very soft and delicate. That is how Krishna's heart is to be in terms of compassion, and is readily available. So that's the next verse, that he comes to reciprocate with his devotees readily, happily. The only lacking is the conditioned soul coming to Krishna. Once they come, Krishna is very, very happy. And for personalities like Maharaj Bharat and all the great devotees in the Bhagavatam and in our tradition and the different paramparas, such reciprocity. And, I'll connect back, we are also invited into that same reciprocal relationship. That is called Dayabhak. That reciprocal relationship is given to us as inheritance. This is the greatness of Bharat Maharaj and wonderful devotees in the Vaishnava line. Any questions or comments? Karunanidhi Prabhu.
Regarding that Salagram Sila, Lord Chaitanya, I forgot his name. Lord Chaitanya gave one Salagram Sila to Raghunath Das, I think. Raghunath Das, when Raghunath Das was worshipping the Salagram Sila, then he saw Krishna's dancing.
I thought it was a little Govardhan Shila with a thumb impression on it. Isn't it? Govardhan Shila.
Oh.
Gave a Govardhan Shila with Lord Chaitanya's thumb impression on that Shila. Gave it to Raghunath Das Goswami. Himanshu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class.
Hare Krishna.
You were explaining the importance of seeing Krishna's mercy and the Parampara's mercy as akshaya, never goes away. So yesterday we were hearing
Never
about
deteriorates, never reduces.
Never reduces. Yesterday we were hearing about Narada Muni, how he was with the sages for a few months and then they left.
Wonderful classes.
His mother also passed away. I mean, I mean, I was just trying to imagine, like, if that were to happen to someone like me, it'd be very hard to see that as, like, on one hand I lost the sages, and on the other I lost the mother also, now what to do? So, we don't get tested like that, because Krishna knows we can't handle it. So then he gives us a test, which for us it feels as heavy as the sages leaving and the mother passing away. So how do we, in those moments, learn to see that actually this is also a type of mercy, but I'm not able to appreciate it? So it comes to a little challenge.
Physically, the association of those Vaishnavas may not be there, but what is Akshaya is their instruction. Because instruction is not bound by time or place. The instructions we receive from the spiritual master and the parampara are applicable in all circumstances of life. Because they give us the instruction, remember Krishna, which is meant to, be free of any situation or time or place or circumstance. Example. So the Akshaya, which never diminishes, is their association. It's always there. It's a matter of accessing it. Narada, as a young boy, continued to have the association of the Bhaktivedantas in sound form. Then the Lord appeared in his heart and encouraged him. And it's described that the reason he appeared was to keep him encouraged. And went away is to enhance that encouragement. Oh, I want to see that form again. So let me not become complacent or reduce anything, because I want to see that form again. It's encouragement. That's Akshaya. Keeps on. Krishna keeps on encouraging us. So the instructions are there. Because physical things, physical association can go away. It does go away too. Some else. Luke.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. You were mentioning the pastime with Krishna being fed and everyone was satisfied.
I said it with more life to it.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
It was very nice.
Okay, thank you.
So we understand that is that Krishna is satisfied and everyone else is satisfied also.
Yes.
At the same time, we see exalted Vaishnavas expressing in a mood of compassion, concern over the welfare of living entities.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get a deeper appreciation or understanding of how that feeling comes, and one doesn't just think, oh, well, I will just only, my sole duty is to serve Krishna, and just by serving Krishna, everyone else is satisfied. At the same time, there's this mood of compassion and concern for the welfare of living entities. Do you see? It seems almost contradictory, but I know.
Yeah, the way you're expressing it seems contradictory.
Yeah.
The way it is to be understood is not. Thank you for bringing that up. It is not that, if I just serve Krishna, everyone will be satisfied. So that is not the understanding necessarily. Compassion, first of all, how does compassion awaken in anyone? The awakening of compassion can happen when one has received the compassion from the previous generation. Only then can one give. Otherwise, you can't give what you don't have. Now, within this material world, there are many compassionate persons, but that compassion is a material reflection. So they are compassionate and they don't know how to apply compassion. Good intention may be there, but good intention has to be supported with the right activity. So spiritual compassion can only awaken when one has received that. Well, so wanting to help others in a similar way is fantastic. That's a very noble, and it's a desire that must awaken within a devotee. In fact, that's like a little indicator. The once we start thinking about others, it's an indication, oh, somewhere some receptivity is opening up for me. So then what to do? How to show compassion unto others? The materialist will go and try to satisfy the bodily demands, and becomes frustrated because you cannot satisfy everyone. You cannot reach everyone. Even if you pick one person and say, I will only take care of one person, and you take care of their body, you're still disappointed. Right? So then the devotee's understanding is, if I satisfy Krishna, then Krishna can satisfy everyone. So that's my means. I serve Krishna as an expression of my service unto others. Serving others means serving the source, so that others, our contact with, our reach to others is through the source. Otherwise we cannot reach. So it's not I just have to serve Krishna, and yes, that is the way. We only satisfy Krishna, and Krishna satisfies everyone. Then on behalf of Krishna, Krishna may give us some specific thing, meet someone or however. But even in those interactions, generally we try to satisfy the other person. But the operative principle is, if Krishna is pleased, then the other person is pleased. Sometimes the other person may not be pleased, but Krishna will be pleased because you've spoken the truth. Right? They want to hear something. You don't tell them that. You tell them what is the truth. So they may be upset. Why are you telling me all this? I don't like this instruction. But Krishna is pleased. And that person becomes satisfied. Somehow or the other, they will be satisfied. Because if you just tell persons what they like to hear, but it's not pleasing to Krishna, then the person cannot be really satisfied. Yes?
Could you please describe the relationship between living entities? You were describing it.
Yes.
But I would be very grateful to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, all the living entities are marginal potency of the Lord. So while we are potency, we are also individual. But one living entity's connection with another living entity is not possible without Krishna in the picture, because he's the source of that energy. Like the spokes on a bicycle wheel. Together, all the spokes are connected to each other, but the hub is necessary. Without a hub, the spokes cannot be connected to each other. And together they perform the act of moving the wheel forward. We need the hub. Like that, the source. Or another way of thinking is, material parallel, if you will, is a computer. There are different parts of the computer. There's a keyboard for input. There is a monitor for output. But the keyboard and the monitor cannot independently interact with each other without the processor. Only when you key in something, the processor has to process it to come out to the monitor. But they're all parts of the computer. But without the processor, they cannot interact with each other. Like that. You're welcome. Anyone else? Ashraya, hands up.
Just a simple thing. This is not to Himanshu Prabhu, but because he said that point. Something that Srila Prabhupada says is, one day there may not be any devotees or any temples, but my books will always be there. and the holy name will always be there. So we should learn really to go deeply into those things. That's one thing that will help us. It's not an instruction or anything. It's just expressing that, because he said that, and I've heard that expressed by others also. And that was it. There was also a verse, a couple of verses ago, it was describing how Maharaj Bharat was just doing these sacrifices because that was the order of Vasudeva. It was expressed like that. So even he being a devotee, it talks, Srila Prabhupada was discussing how he engaged others in the sacrifice. But he was doing that only for the pleasure of Krishna, so we can see the examples of these kind of Vaishnavas. When they are showing compassion like that, it's actually just because that's what Krishna is asking them to do or wants them to do. It's not like an independent thing. It's not something different from what you just described. It's just another way of looking at it, maybe. Like Srila Prabhupada said, I didn't want to leave Vrindavan, but Krishna told me, you have to go. So they're not thinking like I can do something, but Krishna's saying, please do this service. So then they do that. I was thinking about that for myself before this. Was like, what's the difference between false ego serving Krishna and serving Krishna really from a transcendental platform? It's just, I don't have any separate ambition. This is what Krishna wants for me to do, so we can do that internal looking, I guess. I'm just expressing some thoughts about it.
Anyone else? Luke?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You were saying how usually we get attached to the service that we have been doing for some time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to ask how we should get attached to the object of service and not to the
That's
service
the answer.
itself.
What is be attached to the object of service? How to? Well, service is a medium. And the medium is meant to connect us to the object. As long as the instruction is maintained, we're very attached to the medium and the object, no doubt. But if the instruction changes, then what? So it's important for devotees that we are conscious and we learn, we practice to become attached to the giver of the instruction and to the object of service. And of course to the service itself. But the instruction can change. But the instructor won't change. The object won't change. So our attachment is to persons. Right? So Krishna is a person. Our attachment is to person. So if we are attached to the person, then whether we serve this way or serve that way, it's okay. But if you become attached to this way, then it's possible that we'll forget the person and we're only attached to this way. Bhaktalok, you had something? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We will not be doing ISKCON today because MSF, and so people will need some time to prepare and etc. I also don't have much. Do you have anything particular? You have anything particular? Okay. So then we have a little time off and then we'll see you at 9. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanande.